thank you for the patience. It seems like I was not allowed to do a Neptune retrograde live, so now I'm just recording this video and putting it up there, so it's not only on my story, but it's gonna be like as a post. And Neptune turned retrograde on the 21st of June and is in retrograde until end of the November, 27th of November. And as I just briefly mentioned, this would be a time to kind of go back towards something, and the towards something is the Neptune or the Pisces energy of your chart. And what does that mean? That means that Neptune and Pisces is all about letting go, forgiveness, connecting to the feeling of everything being as one, connecting to trust, connecting to unconditional love for yourself, for the universe. And it's also a little bit about transcending the ego and getting some of our ego out of the way. But as you can see, Pisces, if you know a little bit about astrology and thereby Neptune, when it's in Pisces, is also the last of the 12 zodiacs. And what that means is that you actually need to be on top of the other 11 to kind of get the best out of this Pisces Neptune energy. Otherwise, it can get a little distorted. You know, all the things like spiritual bypassing, like addictions, like escaping. I don't want to be human. I don't want to take my responsibility for the gifts I have, or just being human in my relationships. So I kind of just meditate and go inwards and I don't want to take responsibility for my boundaries. I don't want to take responsibility for being something else than a good person, because we're all also bad persons in some ways, or we have bad sides. We're not bad persons. And then we do the escape. We kind of just let go in a way that's not very good for us in the long run. So maybe this retrograde is a signal or a sign for you to kind of go over those areas again and see where you maybe need to turn down a little bit of the volume of the always encompassing everybody else's needs, of always understanding, of always being like good and spiritual in the spiritual way, and maybe see a little bit more about the fear, what is holding you back from being you as you, with all the needs, also your ego needs. What is holding you back from living your dreams? Is it maybe because you don't trust enough? Is it because that you don't take action enough, that you just sit and do manifestation meditations but don't actually take action? What could kind of be in play here? And just, with Pisces or with Neptune, you don't necessarily have to act or be very, yes, you need to be conscious, but it's not like, okay, I need to do this. If you just kind of go inwards a little bit and listen to the flow, it will tell you. And one of the things that I'm being told is, for example, that my ability to connect, I'm cognate to the spiritual world and my guides, that was turned off. And I think that happened for a lot of people. And what they're actually telling us is, you don't need us to guide you. You know it all. You just go out there and do your thing. And that's a really big part of what I think this Neptune retrograde is about to tell us. It's between 18 and 15 degrees of Neptune. So if you have anything in your chart, not necessarily in Pisces, but in all of the other signs, you can be affected. But it's very much tuning inwards and saying, okay, I can trust me. I don't need to always draw a card or always wait to get a message or being guided, or I can trust me. I can trust my intuition. I can trust what I'm feeling. And if I can't feel what steps I should take or where I should go, maybe I should trust that as well. And just sit with it until the answers arise. But we're a little bit impatient always, and we want to know that we're going in the right direction. But hey, everything is here to help you. You will never go in a wrong direction. You will go in the direction you need to go to learn the stuff you need to learn. And that's what life is all about. So it's also a little bit about chilling out and trusting that no matter what step, no matter what decision you're gonna make, or if everybody else says you should make another decision, or you should do this or do that, and blah blah blah, just listen to yourself. And then another thing that might come up a little bit, especially around the eclipses, and this is also because it's very much connected, this Neptune retrograde, to the Cancer energy this year. So that might be insecurity and the feeling of fear. And the feeling of fear is very present in all of us. And fear is not like a bad thing. It's a really good thing that kept us alive for not swimming with the crocodiles or getting bitten by snakes or getting attacked by lions and things like that. But right now we are in a society where there unfortunately isn't that many lions for most of us. So our brain kind of produces all of these different fears of what we should be afraid of what other people might think, of not having enough money, not blah, blah, blah. I've been through them all. And they're so real when you're in it. It's like anxiety, panic attacks, things like that. And it's also a way of meeting that and sitting with that and knowing that that's your inner child speaking to you. And they had a feeling of not being safe, of not being able to trust. So they now need to trust you. They now need you to take care of them and meet their needs and comfort them through it. And from my experience, there's no way around fear than go right through it. And that doesn't mean that you necessarily need to make decisions that will bring you way out of your comfort zone, because then your nervous system and your body is not aligned with what your head might think. But it's very much about, if the fear arises, sitting with it and being with it and not feeling like you are wrong or anything, or that you shouldn't feel it or suppress it, but just go with the emotions. So that can be something that seems to pop up for a lot of people. And yes, and then there's, of course, the whole forgiveness thing. And that's also something that a lot of us in the spiritual community can sometimes get a little impatient about, because we know that that's the right way to do it, but we cannot actually force forgiveness. It's something that just needs to be there or show up in our system when the time is right. So we can do a lot of other things. We can work with the triggers, we can heal the emotions, we can do things, but forgiveness is not, in my experience, something that you can work really hard with. It's more something that, exactly like Pisces is, something that will arise or will let go when the time is right. And sometimes forgiveness is like a spiral. You forgive in one layer and you thought you forgave it all, and then another layer a year after pops up, and then another layer and another layer, and you can work with that in that way. So this is a journey. This is not like I go here, there's a goal. This is a process, and the process will continue until you die or your physical body dies. And then you'll go on in the next life and learn new things and go through a new process. But yeah, that's just the thing to remember, not to chase the goal. And I'm a Capricorn, so I'm actually allowed to say that, because that's been my whole life, chasing the goals. And I'm just going to look at my paper here to see if I had anything more. Yes, the whole thing about knowing that this is a human experience, that we're here to have a human experience in Earth School, as I would call it here. That it's not about escaping all the time. It's not about turning into not being triggered. When we're not triggered, I guess we're dead. Of course, we can heal a lot of stuff, but completely not triggered, maybe not. And it wouldn't be nice not to have all those feelings. Sometimes I'm wondering if our soul up there was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go down and have another life, and I'm going to scrape my knees, and I'm going to get hurt, and I'm going to experience like breakups and cry about that, and that's gonna hurt my heart. And yes, suddenly I can feel something. I can feel my body. It's like, yeah, I bumped my toe into the table. Yeah, that's great. But here we are constantly trying to escape the body and escape all its functions and its smells and its all the pleasurable things about having a body. So it's very much about, getting down into Earth School, setting boundaries, respecting your body, being with that. And also connected to this Neptune retrograde, and that will only be this year. There will be like 9 years until this will probably happen again. And I guess Neptune will be out of Pisces at that time. So this is like a one-time thing. That Black Moon Lilith, this really important place, it's not an asteroid, it's a placement in the moon's not cycle, but kind of like the way it turns around the Earth, that there's a place there that's called Black Moon Lilith. And Black Moon Lilith is the black side or the dark side of the moon. That means the dark side of the feminine. And also the suppressed feminine, everything about the feminine that we really didn't want to see. So that can both be for some spirituality, it can be feelings, it can be like feeling like a victim, things like guilt and victimhood and sacrifice. Those are the things I feel like we need to give up because they are from an old era. They're from patriarchy, they're from a fear perspective, they're not from like a abundance or a love perspective. So very much about the fear and the guilt and the sacrifice and the victimhood, but also like seeing all the dark sides of how we use or how we practice our spirituality, how we maybe escape through it, or all the small escapes that we make that, I feel like I can feel that this is the right time for something. Or maybe you just felt like you wanted more money on your account. And so you're going to sell this, and that's fine. I mean, no judgment. There's no judgment here. It's just we're called to be more honest this year and to be more authentically ourselves. And that means that we cannot do all these bypasses or numbings or escapes or abusive things that we have done to ourselves and others anymore. We need to be more truthful, honest, and more loving. More unconditional love for yourself. And then you will fill your cup and it will spill over. And all that spills over, that's going to be the unconditional love that you give to others. So I guess this was what I had to say for this time. Neptune retrograde, and from 21st of June until 27th of November, from 18 degrees to 15 degrees. And it's all about becoming conscious about the collective unconscious stuff that we all dragged with us. All the stories we're telling ourselves, all the things that we do that might actually be because of something that we're unconscious of. So thank you for now. Thank you for listening. Bye.